What if I told you that one of the richest men alive still sleeps in the same house he bought for just $31,500 back in 1958? While other billionaires chase oceanfront palaces and golden gates, Warren Buffett built his empire from simplicity. Yet hidden behind that modest facade lies a story that flips every rule of wealth. Stay until the end, because the most shocking part isn't about money at all. Omaha, the house that stayed the same. In a world where billionaires compete to outbuild one another with marble estates and panoramic penthouses, Warren Buffett remains the quiet anomaly. His fortress of modesty stands on Farnham Street in Omaha, Nebraska, where he purchased a 6,500 square foot home for $31,500 back in 1958, roughly $298,000 today. The house, trimmed in white brick and shaded by old elm trees, still looks like something you'd find in a middle-class neighborhood, not the residence of a man worth over $100 billion. Yet for Buffett, this is not just a home, it's a living time capsule of restraint and values carved over decades. Inside, the decor is simple: muted carpets, family photos, and wooden furniture that would feel more at home in a teacher's study than a billionaire's mansion. There's no gallery of gold, no imported chandeliers, no fingerprint-locked vault of art. The kitchen hasn't been redesigned into a culinary showpiece. It's where he still enjoys a breakfast of McDonald's sausage biscuits and drinks Cherry Coke, a brand he's famously invested in through Berkshire Hathaway. The very air of the house feels intentional, functional over flashy, comforting over cinematic. What's striking isn't what the house contains, but what it rejects: spectacle. Even after his fortune ballooned, Buffett refused to relocate to Los Angeles, Palm Beach, or Manhattan's Billionaire Row. Instead, he stayed in Omaha, where neighbors wave at him on morning walks and children ride bikes past his lawn. The home's current market value hovers around $152,000, less than the cost of a single luxury car owned by many of his peers. Yet Buffett often says he wouldn't trade it for any palace in the world. He calls it the third best investment I ever made, after marrying his wife and buying Berkshire Hathaway. The symbolism is powerful: a billionaire grounded by geography who chose memory over magnificence. In that quiet neighborhood, Buffett built the foundation for one of history's largest investment empires. Proof that success doesn't demand extravagance, it demands consistency. Every wall, every creaking step in that house whispers the same philosophy that shaped his fortune: that the truest wealth isn't about what you buy, but about what you choose never to sell. And that's the paradox: how a home so ordinary became the most extraordinary mirror of Warren Buffett's genius. Laguna Beach, a vacation home he let go. When Warren Buffett bought his Laguna Beach home in 1971 for just $150,000, around $1 million today, he wasn't chasing oceanfront glamour, he was seeking silence. The house sat high above the cliffs of Emerald Bay, facing an endless blue horizon that could calm even the busiest investor on earth. It was a world apart from his understated home in Omaha: floor-to-ceiling windows framing Pacific sunsets, a gentle ocean breeze that carried the scent of salt and cedar, and waves that sounded like a ticking clock reminding him that even time, like money, should be spent wisely. The property covered nearly 3,600 square feet, with 6 bedrooms, a terrace overlooking the ocean, and direct access to the private beach reserved for the few who could afford life inside Laguna's gated calm. Yet Buffett's version of luxury was still measured, not indulgent. He furnished it with what he needed, nothing more. No golden faucets, no marble atriums, no extravagant art collections. The house reflected his idea of balance, a place to think, not to impress. For over 4 decades, it was his retreat, a refuge where he could step back from billion-dollar boardrooms and listen to the quiet hum of his own thoughts. But in 2018, Buffett decided it was time to let it go. He listed it for $11 million, eventually selling for $7 million to a local tech entrepreneur. The sale wasn't about profit, it was philosophy. He no longer needed an ocean view to see clearly. To Buffett, ownership was never about possession, it was about purpose. Once that purpose faded, so did the attachment. What makes this story more fascinating is the contrast it paints: a man who could buy 10 mansions in Malibu but chooses instead to sell the one he owned because it's just not where my life is anymore. In a world where most billionaires build estates to immortalize themselves, Buffett quietly exits stage left, reminding us that knowing when to let go is as powerful as knowing when to invest. The Laguna Beach home might be gone, but the lesson remains: wealth without restraint is just noise. What would you have done? Kept the ocean view or walked away like Buffett? The empire built from frugality. While Warren Buffett's home life whispers simplicity, his empire roars with precision. From a modest office in Omaha, far from the financial chaos of Wall Street, Buffett turned Berkshire Hathaway, once a struggling textile mill, into a multi-trillion-dollar powerhouse of global investments. The company's portfolio reads like a catalogue of American influence: Coca-Cola, Apple, American Express, Chevron, and the Washington Post. But behind every acquisition was a formula so unassuming it almost felt old-fashioned. Buy what you understand and hold it forever. In 1988, Buffett bought Coca-Cola shares worth $1 billion, a move that now pays him nearly $700 million in dividends annually. In 2016, his investment in Apple, over $35 billion, ballooned to a valuation exceeding $160 billion, making it one of the most profitable bets in corporate history. These weren't impulsive purchases, they were acts of patience calculated to perfection, guided by a philosophy that the market rewards conviction more than speed. While others chased short-term hype, Buffett sat still, reading 500 pages of reports a day, drinking cherry Coke as numbers quietly compounded into empires. The secret of Berkshire Hathaway's success wasn't about owning flashy brands. It was about owning the ones that own their industries. Each acquisition became a pillar. Geico brought in steady insurance float, BNSF Railway moved a quarter of America's freight, and Duracell powered homes in over 100 countries. Every business fit into a design of cash flow and resilience, a web of industries feeding into one another like a living organism. And through it all, Buffett resisted ego. He refused to rename Berkshire after himself, preferring to let performance speak louder than legacy. He still lives minutes away from his office, drives himself to work, and eats at the same diner as employees who manage billion-dollar portfolios. To most billionaires, wealth builds distance. To Buffett, it builds focus. He doesn't flaunt private islands or mega yachts. His luxury is ownership that endures generations. When the markets tremble, Berkshire remains the calm at the center, a reminder that patience, not extravagance, is the highest form of power. And somewhere in that quiet balance between restraint and ambition, Buffett redefined what it means to live rich without ever living large. The paradox of the sky, jets with purpose. When Warren Buffett finally stepped aboard his Bombardier Challenger 600, it wasn't with pride, it was with guilt. He once called private jets the indefensible, a phrase that captured his lifelong discomfort with luxury for luxury's sake. Yet the irony was unavoidable. The world's most frugal billionaire now owned one. The aircraft itself was nothing short of corporate engineering perfection. Capable of cruising at 530 miles per hour, with a range of 3,800 miles, leather seating for 12, and a cabin designed more for meetings than champagne toasts. It cost him roughly $10 million at the time, a number that contradicted everything the Omaha Oracle preached. But the purchase wasn't about indulgence, it was about efficiency. Managing Berkshire Hathaway, a conglomerate valued at hundreds of billions, meant constant travel. Board meetings in New York, shareholder summits in Omaha, factory visits in Atlanta. Commercial schedules couldn't keep up with the pace of a man who measured time as an asset, not an expense. Still, Buffett's humor never left him. He named the jet the Indefensible, a private joke about his own hypocrisy. But as Berkshire expanded, so did the need for speed. Soon, his company acquired NetJets, a firm that revolutionized aviation by selling fractional ownership of private aircraft. The deal, valued at over $725 million, gave Buffett access to an entire fleet instead of just one plane. It also transformed his guilty pleasure into a global business asset, one that now serves more than 9,000 clients worldwide, from CEOs to royalty. In typical Buffett fashion, what began as an indulgence became an empire of practicality. Unlike most billionaires who decorate their aircraft with gold-trimmed interiors or monogrammed silk seats, Buffett used his for reading financial reports and sipping cherry Coke. The walls were bare, the design minimal, an airborne office, not a flying palace. To him, the true luxury wasn't the jet itself, but the control of time it provided. Every flight cut through bureaucracy, allowing decisions worth billions to happen hours sooner. It wasn't about escaping the world, it was about reaching it faster. Eventually, Buffett rebranded his once indefensible purchase as the Indispensable, acknowledging that even restraint has its exceptions. For a man who avoids excess in every form, the sky became the only place where spending big actually made perfect sense. Cadillacs over supercars. For most billionaires, a garage is a gallery, a museum of engines polished like jewelry. But for Warren Buffett, it's nothing more than a place to park a single car that simply gets the job done. For decades, that car has been a Cadillac, a brand known less for speed and more for silent endurance. He's owned several models over the years, from the Cadillac DTS to the Cadillac XTS, both sedans that rarely appear in a billionaire's collection. The one he drove for the longest time, a silver XTS valued around $45,000, looked almost invisible beside the Rolls-Royces and Bentleys that crowd the driveways of his peers. When it comes to vehicles, Buffett doesn't chase horsepower, he chases practicality. He once revealed that he replaces his car only every 7 to 8 years, and even then, not out of desire but necessity. In 2014, his daughter, worried that the family icon of American capitalism was driving an old, dented vehicle, convinced him to upgrade. So, Buffett walked into the local dealership in Omaha, paid in cash, and drove home without a second thought. No entourage, no showroom spectacle, no cameras. It was a transaction as quiet as his personality, deliberate, modest, and deeply unbothered by luxury trends. The idea of spending $300,000 on a sports car, he once said, felt ridiculous when it can't even carry groceries. To Buffett, a car isn't an identity, it's transportation. But the choice of Cadillac carries symbolism. It's a brand that speaks to middle America, built on reliability and comfort rather than exotic excess. The smooth ride, the wide seats, the clean dashboard, all embody the kind of understated confidence that defines him. Every drive through Omaha's calm streets feels like a metaphor for his philosophy, predictable, steady, and composed. Unlike most billionaires who chase attention through exhaust pipes and carbon fiber, Buffett drives anonymity itself. Even the way he uses his car reflects purpose. He drives himself to work daily, sipping cherry Coke from a fast food cup, radio tuned low, mind focused on global markets. The Cadillac doesn't scream wealth, it whispers control. It's not about showing how far he's come, but how consistent he's stayed. In Buffett's world, power doesn't roar, it hums quietly beneath the hood of a car worth less than 1% of his daily earnings. Philanthropy as his true luxury. When the conversation turns to luxury among billionaires, Warren Buffett's wealth speaks not through palaces or yachts, but through the quiet gravity of philanthropy. Over his lifetime, Buffett has donated more than $42 billion, a sum that eclipses the GDP of some nations, and yet it's never been a spectacle. His giving follows the same principles that built Berkshire Hathaway: discipline, timing, and scale. The majority of his contributions have gone to the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, where his annual donations, often exceeding $3 billion, fuel global efforts in healthcare, education, and poverty alleviation. He doesn't fund monuments with his name carved in stone. He funds vaccines, scholarships, and medical programs that may never mention him at all. In 2010, Buffett co-founded the Giving Pledge, a movement urging billionaires to commit at least half of their fortunes to philanthropy. What began as a dinner table discussion between Buffett and Bill Gates has now gathered over 240 signatories from 29 countries, including names like Elon Musk and Michael Bloomberg. But Buffett's approach remains uniquely personal. He has pledged to give away 99% of his wealth, distributing his shares primarily to family foundations run by his children. His daughter, Susie Buffett, through the Sherwood Foundation, focuses on early childhood education and social equity in Nebraska, while his son Howard funds agricultural development and conservation projects across Africa and Latin America. Yet Buffett's humility often makes his generosity invisible. He writes his donation letters himself, signing them with understated sincerity, and sends them to foundations with little ceremony. There's no gala, no red carpet, no press release timed to the market. To him, the act of giving is a moral obligation, not a headline. Still, even with billions given away, his net worth continues to climb. Proof of the paradox that compounding wealth grows faster than charity can distribute it. He once remarked, "I'm not giving up anything of real value because the money can do more for others than it ever could for me." That sentence encapsulates the core of Buffett's legacy. For him, philanthropy isn't an afterthought, it's the most luxurious expression of intelligence, a way of ensuring his fortune serves purpose long after he's gone. In a world where excess defines status, Buffett's greatest display of wealth is the power to give it all away. The challenge of endless wealth. Warren Buffett often jokes that his fortune has become a living creature, one that keeps growing even while he's asleep. Despite giving away more than $42 billion, his net worth continues to surge past $100 billion, a phenomenon that exposes one of capitalism's greatest paradoxes. The more he gives, the richer he becomes. The explanation lies in compound growth, a force Buffett has spent a lifetime mastering. Through Berkshire Hathaway's sprawling portfolio, stocks, insurance, energy and infrastructure, his wealth compounds at a rate faster than philanthropy can disperse it. Even as billions flow to the Gates Foundation and other charities, the value of his remaining shares rises, replenishing what he parts with almost instantly. It's not greed that keeps him wealthy, it's the mathematics of momentum. Every year, Buffett donates roughly 5% of his Berkshire shares, but those shares often appreciate by 10% or more, creating a cycle where giving becomes a race he can never quite win. It's a challenge that fascinates economists, how generosity itself can be outpaced by the system it seeks to soften. In Buffett's case, each act of charity is like cutting a branch from a tree that grows two more in its place. His investments in companies like Apple, Coca-Cola and American Express produce dividends measured in hundreds of millions, feeding back into a fortune that refuses to shrink. But beneath the arithmetic lies a deeper struggle. Buffett has said he doesn't need more money, not 1 ounce of it, and yet the numbers climb regardless. It's a reminder that wealth, once it reaches a certain mass, becomes self-sustaining, almost autonomous. While other billionaires chase growth for status, Buffett wrestles with growth as an ethical dilemma. How to outgive the compounding machine he built. He continues to write letters to trustees, adjusting plans for the distribution of his wealth, aware that even in death his investments will likely keep multiplying. This is the quiet irony of modern finance. The man who taught the world patience and prudence now finds himself battling abundance itself. To most, that would sound like victory. To Buffett, it's unfinished work. Because the challenge of endless wealth isn't how to earn it, it's figuring out how to make it stop growing faster than you can give it away. Redefining what it means to be rich. For most of the world, being rich means having more space, more cars, more zeros in the account. But for Warren Buffett, wealth has never been about accumulation. It's about alignment. Every dollar he earns serves a purpose, and every possession he keeps earns its place. His Omaha home, still worth barely $152,000, and his Cadillac XTS, priced around $45,000, might look ordinary, but they symbolize a philosophy that turned discipline into fortune. Buffett measures success not by how much he can buy, but by how little he needs to feel complete. He's a billionaire who could purchase a private island in every ocean, yet chooses to stay in a city where people still greet him by name at the diner. To him, simplicity isn't sacrifice, it's sovereignty. What makes Buffett fascinating is not the size of his wealth, but the control he has over it. He treats money as a servant, never a master. When he spends, it's for impact. $10 million on a jet to save time, $42 billion in donations to save lives. When he invests, it's for permanence, companies that will still exist when trends collapse. His version of luxury isn't marble or gold, it's freedom. Freedom from clutter, from pretense, from the exhausting performance of appearing rich. Even his wardrobe, blue suits, red ties, the same old glasses, tells a story of consistency that quietly intimidates excess. Yet, behind that restraint lies a paradox. Buffett enjoys the game of money, not the glitter of it. He doesn't hoard to display, but to deploy. While others chase fame through opulence, he chases meaning through endurance. The real reward, he often says, isn't in owning assets worth hundreds of billions, but in knowing exactly what to do with them. In that calm certainty lies the genius of a man who made minimalism feel royal. And that's the lesson hidden in his wealth. Being rich isn't about the noise of possession, but the silence of purpose. Because in a world obsessed with luxury, Buffett mastered something far rarer, the art of enough. Which raises a question only you can answer. If you had his fortune, would you live like Buffett? or like everyone else. From the quiet streets of Omaha to a sold-off mansion in Laguna Beach, Warren Buffett proves that true wealth isn't measured by marble floors or ocean views, it's measured by discipline, purpose, and impact. His $8 million homes are only a reflection of something far greater, a man who mastered the art of enough. If you enjoyed uncovering this side of Buffett, make sure to like, subscribe, and turn on the bell for more stories like this. And don't miss part 2, where we reveal how Buffett's frugality shaped his trillion-dollar investment empire.